Greetings, this is Esther with Starry Blessings Astrology. We're going to be talking about Mercury retrograde that's occurring this November through early December. So, I'm going to show you this the ephemeris. This is the list of all the planets and where they're moving. I use this one. It's by Jim Maynard because I can carry it in my purse and it's very easy to read and look at. So I'm looking at the column. I know it's hard to see here, but there's a column that's for Mercury, and I'm looking down at the date. I see that on the 17th of November, Mercury is going to station retrograde. That means it has been moving forward in the sign of Sagittarius, and it's going to super slow down, and on the 17th of November it's going to like halt, station, stay still, stand still, like you're at a train station, right? You're like getting ready to go on the train and you're sitting still waiting for that train to come. So then Mercury starts to go retrograde. It starts to move backwards, and it's going to move backwards from 13 degrees Sagittarius. It's going to go all the way back, and it's going to retrograde back into the sign that it was before it entered Sagittarius, which is Scorpio. So on the 1st of December, it enters 29 degrees of Scorpio. That's the last degrees of Scorpio. And it's going to move back to 27 degrees Scorpio on the 7th of December. And then it's going to station direct. That means it's at that train station. It's halted. It's waiting. It's reversing direction. And then it's going to move forward. And then it's going to move forward. It's going to move out of Scorpio, re-enter Sagittarius on the 13th of December, and get back up to 13 degrees retrograde where it first started, going retrograde, Christmas Eve, 24th of December. So when you think about stationing planets, and all the planets go retrograde, they all have retrograde cycles. Mercury goes retrograde 3 or 4 times a year for 3 weeks at a time. So when it's stationing, either it's holding still to go retrograde or it's holding still to go direct. It's kind of like, imagine a cruise ship, and if a cruise ship has to turn around, it has to stop totally, and then it can turn. It doesn't like do a wheelie in the middle of the ocean. Not that I've heard of anyway. So the planets are like that as well from our perspective here. So depending on the constellation, on the sign that Mercury is retrograding back through, that's the energy, that's the issues, that's the story you're going to be revisiting, re-looking at, and maybe even having to reboot some of those ways you've been dealing with things in that sign. And what we do is we place that movement of that sign. So we're looking at Mercury going retrograde, 13 degrees Sagittarius, back to 0 degrees Sagittarius, back into Scorpio to 27 degrees. Where do those degrees fall in your chart? Because that's where you're going to be rethinking. Now, Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and it's a very expansive sign. It's big picture sign. It's big perspective. So maybe what's happening during this Mercury retrograde period this autumn is that you're revisiting the ways that you're thinking about your life in a macro way, in a big way, big picture, big perspective. What's my ultimate goal? Where do I want to be in a few months? What do I want to be working on? How do I want to be thinking about my life? Do I want to be focusing on everything that didn't work? That's not a good idea, by the way, because whatever you focus on, that's what you create. So if, like, let's say you don't have any money in your bank account, you're like, oh my God, I don't have any money in my bank account. You're just like constantly like, oh my God, I don't have any money in my bank account. It's pretty hard to add money to the bank account when you're focused on, I don't have it. So this Mercury in Sagittarius says, well, maybe it's time to switch your perspective, your viewpoint, and say, I always have everything that I need, and I'm attracting all the money that I need every day. It's coming to me in every way, And then you kind of shift, because if that's your focus, if, oh, I'm bringing money to myself every day, well, then you're probably going to take some action on making that happen. But if you're like, oh my God, I don't have enough, then all you're focused in on is I don't have enough. And whether that's love, it's usually love, right? I don't have enough love, or the money, you know, the love shows up as money. I don't have enough money, or I don't know how to, you know, make the world a better place. I'm so scared. There's these crazy things going on. So Sagittarius, Mercury in Sagittarius says, hey, get the bigger picture. You know, look at the abundance, look at the flow, look at the choices you can make to start bringing more expansive experiences to the world, your personal world, and to the world at large. So that's really what it's good for. It's great for higher learning. Maybe you need to go revisit some trainings you've done, or some things that you've studied or like to study, and go back and dig in deeper and see what else is there for you. That's very Sagittarian. Sag is also very much related to travel. Maybe you're wanting to go places. Maybe you are going places, you know, maybe during the Thanksgiving holiday, and you're going places and you're going to have to like, rethink kind of how you're thinking about things. And sometimes that's the best way to kind of get a review on your situation, is to travel. See how other people are living. Even if you're visiting family, even if it's stressful for you to visit family, you're like, oh, I get to look at what this is about. And then at the beginning of December, when Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio, you get to visit some of those deeper emotional places inside of you. Probably got triggered by the holidays. Even if you don't visit family, even if you don't have any family, even if you have a ton of family. Holidays tend to trigger deep traumatic things in people. All kinds of things can come up. So as Mercury transits back into Scorpio, it's like, wow, perfect time. Get in there, dig around. Wow, what triggered me? You know, what made me so upset? And then can I get into a bigger picture perspective about what's really going on? You know, I think the most important thing to remember about emotional triggers is those people, situations, circumstances that are triggering a deep emotional response in you. It's not about them, okay? They are players in your script. It's your life, it's your script. If those people are in your life, those circumstances, and they are really upsetting you, they're triggering you, that's for you to neutralize, to work through, and in your heart to thank them for playing those roles, for showing you where your wounding is, where your emotional pain is, and not depending on them to make it better for you. That doesn't work anyway. Okay, you have to make it better for yourself. You have to work on yourself. You have to connect with your higher guidance, with spirit. You have to be in your body. You have to embody your incarnation in a way that those people are just players on your scene. And what you want to do about that, and the way you're going to know that, is because you're going to have an emotional response. Either, you know, very loving, or, you know, there's pain, there's hurt, abandonment, big issue for most humans, abandonment. And we don't really live in a culture that supports deep emotional feelings and expression. So you're going to have to find your support to do that. And it's super important to do that, to work out the energy so you don't carry it with you. This is really important. This is what's going to be up for you, because this is what this Mercury retrograde period is about. And then when Mercury re-enters Sagittarius, again, you're working on the bigger picture, and it looks like by Christmas time, 24th of December, when Mercury is back at the same degree that it was at when it stationed retrograde. So it's like you've gone over everything and now you're in fresh ground. It looks like you can move ahead with a little more bigger perspective, clearer perspective, and really dug in there and done a little bit more of your emotional excavation, which, by the way, is a lifetime practice. Very ascended beings, you know, they don't probably get triggered, though they might still, but they know how to work that energy through, and they don't they don't put it in their body and carry it with them for the rest of their lives. And you have that choice as well. So nothing to fear in Mercury retrograde. I would say, just kind of on a very light level, if you're shopping, keep your receipts, because you might end up returning something. You might change your mind. It might not be exactly what you thought it was. So keep your receipts. Make sure you see when you are signing something, to know what the agreement of the contract is. And if those agreements don't work for you, then change the contract or don't sign the contract. But don't be afraid of any of the planetary transits. They're all opportunities for you to grow and opportunities to love yourself even more, and love yourself through all your experiences, because it's your play. You wrote it, you're directing in it, you produced it, you chose all the characters. Get into it, enjoy it, and enjoy your Mercury retrograde. Thanks for joining me today. Talk about Mercury retrograde happening November 17th through December, let me get this right, December 7th. So thank you so much. This is Esther with Starry Blessings Astrology. See, I stumbled over my own name, which is another Mercury retrograde thing, by the way. You might find that your speech is, you're not quite saying what you want to say. So whatever, lighten up on yourself. Just say it again. Starry Blessings Astrology. You are love always, and you will always return back to love.